There is a silent point within you where everything begins, a point that cannot be seen or touched, yet it shapes the entire world around you. It is there that the invisible transforms into the visible, and it is in this point that the I Am resides, God's eternal name within you. Long before any manifestation emerged in the physical world, it already lived there as an assumed state of consciousness. All things were made from it, and nothing that was made without it. Many seek to change circumstances. They want money, health, love, recognition, and unknowingly they pursue effects while ignoring the cause. This cause is not in actions, effort, or the world outside. The true cause lies in what you accept as true about yourself, because it is not the world that determines who you are, it is who you are that determines the world. The phrase I want to share with you today, I am what I choose to be, is more than a mantra. It is the recognition of the creative power that has always been in your hands, not as a belief, but as a direct experience. When you say, I am, you are not just referring to a name. You are activating the origin of everything. You are giving form to what will be. I am poor, or I am rich, I am loved, or I am rejected. All of this is a choice made in silence, in the depths of the mind, and projected onto the stage of life. Every word that follows I am is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness, and the soil never argues with the seed. It simply makes it grow. Therefore, today, I want to give you this mantra as one gives a mirror. Not so you can see what is already outside, but so you can see who truly dwells within. Let's learn to use it together, not in a hurry, not as a magic formula, but as a sacred act of remembrance. You did not come into the world to react. You came to create. And it all begins now, at this instant, when you decide what you will be, and assume it as already real. What follows are the steps that will open the door to conscious creation. Each one is an invitation to awaken, a return home. Because in the end, the truth is not that you need to change your life. The truth is that you need to remember that you are already life in expression. Before any word, there is silence. Before any creation, there is the empty space where everything is possible. The first step for the mantra, I am what I choose to be, to fulfill its transformative purpose, is not to speak it, but to prepare the soil where it will be sown. And that soil is your consciousness in stillness. The common mind, agitated by 1,000 thoughts, cannot receive the divine seed. It needs to be calmed, like a lake that quiets down and then perfectly reflects the sky. It is in this state of inner serenity that the mantra reveals its strength. Therefore, above all, you need to learn to silence the mind's noise, not with effort, but with presence. Sit in a place where you can be with yourself. Turn off external stimuli and turn inward. No technique or rigid posture is necessary. Just be there, attentive, as one who encounters something sacred. Breathe deeply a few times and, instead of controlling thoughts, just observe. Like clouds in the sky, they come and go. But you remain. And it is in this remaining that space opens up. This space is the door to creation. Not a creation from the world, but one that originates from the center of your being. When you connect with this silent point, you touch the source of life. And in this state, any affirmation that comes from your mouth will be like an order to the universe. It is then that the mantra should be spoken, not as a sound for others to hear, but as a truth you whisper to your own heart. I am what I choose to be. Say it from within, with intention, without rushing. Feel each word as a vibration. There is no magic in the sound of the syllables. The power lies in the consciousness that sustains the words. Therefore, as you speak, notice what happens within you. Observe if there is resistance, doubt, discomfort, and if there is, do not fight against it. Just continue. Because by persisting in the feeling of choice, even if it initially seems fragile, you begin to rewrite the contours of your being. Many repeat phrases without touching their essence, but you are here to go beyond. When you affirm, "I am what I choose to be," you are telling the universe, "I am no longer a consequence of the past. I am no longer a slave to what I was told. I now choose what I want to express." And this choice does not come from the ego. It comes from the spirit. It's not about deceiving yourself or escaping current reality. It's about looking within and seeing that there is something greater waiting to be recognized, something that already is, something that always was, your true essence. And when you affirm this in silence, like a seed planted in the night, it begins to work, even if you don't see it immediately. The secret of this first step lies in preparing the inner environment so that the affirmation is not just a spoken word, but an assumed state. And this requires presence. It requires you to be whole in the moment. As you say the mantra, close your eyes and see with your mind's eye what you choose to be. Feel it with your body. Notice your breath. Let your heart align with this new identity. Do not force it. Just surrender. Because the universe responds not to the sound of your voice, but to the tone of your being. And when you vibrate with what you affirm, life rearranges the paths to confirm your choice. Therefore, do not rush. Do not turn this sacred moment into just another technique. Make it a reunion, a return to the center where everything originates. The seed you plant now in silence with the mantra will become form. Perhaps slowly, perhaps suddenly, but inevitably. Because all creation begins this way, a consciousness that decides, feels, and becomes. After the soil has been prepared and the seed of the mantra has been consciously sown, it's time for the next step, to wear the identity you have chosen as if it were already yours. This is not a game of pretense, nor an illusion. It is a silent decision to assume the feeling of what you have declared yourself to be. When you say, "I am what I choose to be," these words must be followed by a coherent feeling, lived with depth, as if that reality were already present now. Not tomorrow, not when something happens, but now, in the invisible, in the inner state that precedes all manifestation. The mind may resist. It will want proof, external signs, justifications to believe, but creation does not obey this logic. The invisible does not need the visible to exist. In fact, it's the opposite. Everything you see was first born as an idea, felt as real. That's why feeling is the secret. The universe doesn't hear words, it responds to vibrations. And feeling is the purest vibration of consciousness. When you feel prosperous, even in the face of absence, when you feel loved, even in solitude, when you feel healed, even with symptoms, then you are no longer trying to create. You already are. And when you are, the world bows. It doesn't matter what your physical eyes see. What matters is what your mind's eyes are contemplating. Therefore, after repeating the mantra, enter a state of vivid imagination. See yourself being. See yourself living as the new version of yourself. Imagine in detail, how does this version of you walk? How does it breathe? How does it behave upon waking? What does it feel? Make imagination a sacred theater where you rehearse, in silence, the life you have already accepted as true. This is not a foolish fantasy. It is the creative seed beginning to bloom from within. But seeing is not enough. You must feel as if it were real. And here is the key point. The more natural this feeling seems, the more deeply it is being accepted by the subconscious mind. Do not force enthusiasm. Do not try to convince yourself. Just choose to feel as if you are already living it. Allow yourself to be taken by this emotion as one who remembers something they always knew. You are not creating from nothing. You are recognizing what has always been available. You are simply assuming the position of creator and no longer a victim of circumstances. And if at any point you feel that you are just repeating cold words, stop, breathe, return to silence, restart the process gently. Because this is not an exercise in quantity, but in quality of presence. A single repetition of the mantra with the right feeling is worth more than 1,000 empty affirmations. The universe does not measure words, it responds to being. Therefore, at the end of the practice, carry this state with you. Let it vibrate in your gestures, in your gaze, in the way you interact with the world. This silent vibration, this feeling assumed as truth, will be the invisible magnet that attracts situations, people and events coherent with what you already are within. There is no effort in this. There is only trust, a trust born from the inner certainty that you have planted the right seed in the right soil, and that life, silently, will do the rest. The third stage is where many stumble, not from lack of desire, but from excessive anxiety. After planting the seed of the mantra and watering it with the assumed feeling of reality, it is necessary to practice what I call gentle persistence. This is not tense insistence nor obsession. It's about remembering sweetly who you already are, without digging up the ground to see if the seed is growing. Growth is silent, invisible to ordinary eyes, but inevitable when the inner state is maintained with constancy. You are not trying to force the universe. You are simply remaining faithful to the new being you have chosen to inhabit. The mantra, "I am what I choose to be," should become an anchor. A constant return to your true identity, especially when the world around you tries to convince you otherwise. When doubt comes, and it will, you do not argue with it. You simply return to I am, with tranquility, with silent firmness. Because you do not need to fight the old reality, you just need to stop feeding it with your attention. The mind, like a garden, offers automatic weeds, memories of failure, voices from the past, learned fears. There's no problem with that. What matters is where you choose to rest your consciousness. And here's the secret. Where you rest your attention, there you plant roots. Therefore, whenever you find yourself distracted, hopeless, or confused, stop. Return to the center. Repeat the mantra, not as a desperate reaction, but as a reminder of who you are. Breathe, feel, declare, I am what I choose to be. And then feel the peace of one who already knows that life will move to correspond to the new vibration. It's not necessary to repeat the mantra all day long. That only creates tension. What is asked here is gentle constancy, a living remembrance. For example, while walking, while waiting for something, before sleeping, upon waking. These are precious moments when you can silently sow the new consciousness. There is no need for fanfare. The universe does not need shouts. It responds to the calm and profound tone of your true being. Repetition does not serve to convince something external, but to dissolve the layers of internal forgetfulness. Each time you return to I am, you release an old identity and embrace a new one. And here enters a crucial point. Trust the invisible. Visible reality is merely the delayed reflection of your inner state. Insisting on immediate proof is like planting and expecting the flower to sprout at the same second. The flower already exists, but within time and space, it follows a rhythm. Your job is to maintain the vibration. The rest reveals itself. Just as the seed does not need to be reminded to grow, your new identity will manifest its fruits without you needing to supervise every detail. You just remain faithful, with lightness, with calm joy, like one who already knows the end of the story. Gentle persistence is a silent vow, a pact between you and your essence. It says, "Even if I do not see, I know. Even if the world doubts, I believe. Because what I am within is more real than any appearance outside." And with this pact, you cross the seasons of life with silent firmness. And one day, without warning, external reality begins to yield. Doors open, answers arrive, encounters occur, but none of this surprises you, because deep down you always knew. You did not wait to see. You decided to be, and that changed everything. Now we arrive at the final step, the point where the sown seed, the assumed feeling, and the silent persistence become coherent action. And here, once again, it is not about acting to make something happen. It is about acting as one who already is, with the naturalness of one who is merely expressing outwardly what they have already accepted inwardly. It is like an actor who no longer plays a role. They become the role, living it with such depth that there is no longer a separation between the character and the being. And, in this case, the character is not a fiction. It is your true essence, awakening in gestures, words, decisions, and directions. The world is a mirror, and it can only reflect what you assume as truth. Therefore, after repeating the mantra, "I am what I choose to be," and feeling its vibration expand in your body and mind, you must allow this new identity to begin moving in the world. But not out of obligation, not with effort. True action is spontaneous. It arises from being. For example, if you have chosen to be abundance, then, when making a decision, ask yourself, does this choice reflect someone who is already abundant? If you have chosen to be love, then, in the most common moments of the day, act with the tenderness of one who is already complete. If you have chosen to be health, walk with the posture of one who is already well. Live as one who trusts their body. This coherence between being, feeling, and acting is the final link that completes the creative circle. But beware. Acting as one who already is does not mean putting yourself at risk or pretending a reality that does not exist. It means adjusting your inner state so that your decisions, however small, arise from a new center. Sometimes coherent action will be to remain silent, refuse a proposal that hurts your values, say no with firmness, or simply rest with faith. Other times, it will be to take a bold step, call someone, start a project, invest in yourself. You will know, because when the being is true, it manifests naturally in concrete forms. The important thing is that you recognize that every conscious choice is a silent affirmation of your new identity, and it is at this point that life begins to conspire, not because you forced it, but because you left the state of waiting and entered the state of expression. You are no longer trying to receive. You are giving from an inexhaustible inner source, and the universe, sensitive to your vibrational tone, begins to align the right people, the right opportunities, the unexpected paths that confirm what you already were within. This is conscious creation. This is effortless manifestation. Therefore, walk as one who has already arrived. Speak as one who already knows. Act as one who already has. Not out of pride, but out of inner certainty. Remember, reality is not something you pursue, it is something you emanate, and by embodying the being you have chosen, the world has no choice but to respond, not because you demanded it, but because you became inevitable. This is the final dance. You plant, you feel, you trust, and then you live. The mantra becomes flesh. The word becomes reality. There is no need to seek proof, because now you are the proof. And everything else, as always, will just be a reflection. Everything said here is not a promise, nor a formula. It is a calling to return. Not to a physical place, but to the silent center of your being, where everything already is. The mantra, "I am what I choose to be," is not magical because of the words, but because of the consciousness that sustains it. It is a mirror, a sacred reminder that you are not in this world to beg for scraps, but to express the fullness of what you already are in essence. When you embrace this truth, it doesn't matter what happened before. It doesn't matter what appearances say, because the world does not determine your being. It merely reflects it. You have learned to sow in silence, to feel with truth, to persist gently, and to act with coherence. Now all that life awaits is your permission. Permission to respond, because it cannot give you what you have not assumed to be. But the moment you choose, feel, and live as one who already is, the invisible organizes itself, doors move, and what seemed distant approaches effortlessly. Wait no more. Seek no signs. The sign is your feeling. The path is internal. Begin now. Close your eyes for a moment and feel. Declare in silence, "I am what I choose to be." And as you open your eyes, carry this truth with you. Carry it in your thoughts, in your words, in your gestures. Allow the world to bend before your new vibration. You don't need to control the how. Just assume the now. Everything is already within. The rest, life, will take care of perfectly.